Hi everybody, it's Lynn at Cheese and Yogurt Making, and we continue our journey of meeting with cheesemakers from around England. And today I'm delighted to be with Ben from the Cornish Cheese Company down in the beautiful Bodmin Moor down in Cornwall. Good afternoon, Ben. How are you?
Hi Lynn, thanks for having me on. Yep, no, brilliant. The sun's shining down here at last, so we're all happy.
Yeah, same here. Beautiful place to be. Very envious. One of my favourite places in the world, Cornwall. So I know you're a 20-year-old business there, and started with the wonderful Cornish blue cheese, and you've obviously evolved. Your website looks amazing. Can you tell me a little bit about the setup there and what you're all about down there?
Yeah, I'll give you a bit of a backstory behind how we were created, really. My father we grew up on a dairy farm up in Cheshire, and then kind of decided to go out and find his own farm with my mum, and he took his family cows, came down to Cornwall in 1994, 95, and with all the intention of just milking the cows and selling the milk. When the milk price crashed in the late 90s, he kind of came to the realization probably in 99, 2000 that he was out working however many hours of the day and not earning any money for it. So they kind of sat down one evening and decided they needed to diversify and add value to the milk. So they looked at all the different options. And what they found is with cheese, as a dairy product, uses more milk per kilo than other dairy products. So it would mean they wouldn't have to sell as much cheese to add all the value or add value to all of their milk. So it puts less pressure on the sales. So they decided they wanted to make cheese, and obviously it's a very interesting product in itself. There's so many varieties and different ways of doing it. So it was kind of an interest there anyway. And he actually went back to the agricultural college he went to at 17 and learn the cheese making process and kind of the ins and outs and the dark arts of how to create and produce cheese. Luckily, when they moved to the farm, the family beforehand actually used to bottle their own milk. So there was already a little room set up next to the milking parlour. So once he was kind of up and running and he did some research into what style he wanted to do, he realised there wasn't really a softer blue option on the market in England at the time. It was mainly dominated by kind of your Stiltons and more traditional blues, whereas in France they had a lot more creamier, a lot softer, easygoing blues. So he wanted to create something along those lines, so did a lot of research into kind of the different cultures we can use and the rennets, etc. And after about a year's worth of trialing and tens of thousands of pounds of wasted trial cheese, we got the recipe of Cornish blue. And at the time we actually made 5 cheeses. Well, my dad did, but we only had one fridge. So when he was making these cheeses and maturing them, the thing you get with blue cheese is that the mold becomes airborne, and it was catching on to the other cheeses such as brie, which is meant to have a nice white coat, which wasn't going down well with the delis and farm shops who were supplying. So he kind of had to make the decision to concentrate on that blue cheese because that was the one that picked up the most popularity. So that was our kind of Cornish blue. That really started in 2001. And then we kind of naturally grew slowly by winning kind of local awards and a few national awards, etc. And it was all done in a 500-litre vat, all stirred with a washing up bowl. And then in 2010, completely surprisingly to us, we won the world's best cheese with the Cornish blue. So it beat about, I think it was over 2,600 cheeses, wow. 3,000 up to 3,000 cheeses around the world. And kind of with that comes a demand from all corners of the world. They all want that on their cheese board, don't they? So it was a bit of a shock to the system with the demand we'd never ever seen before. And it changed the business overnight in the sense of it becoming a very, very small production to actually producing regularly on large amounts. The following year, we actually backed it up by coming runner-up which is pretty unheard of as well, which was, it kept that demand there and kept the interest there. And then naturally, over those next 2 to 3 years from that demand, we managed to kind of invest that back into the dairy, and we've now extended that dairy. So we still make the cheese with open vats, and it's still a manual process, molding by hand, etc. But there is a lot more kind of equipment in there and storage space to help kind of fulfill those big orders now. And after we kind of got that up and running, we looked at kind of developing it, and we then developed a goat version called Cornish Nanny. So it's made exactly the same way. So it's a kind of a creamy blue, not strong at all, but with the goat milk gives it a completely different flavor. Kind of has that like a nutty finish to it, which is really nice. And then kind of after a couple of years of that, we found the blue market was getting really, really competitive. So as an example, when my dad first started, he thinks there was 14 blue cheeses made in the country. He'll probably correct me on that, but I'm sure he said 14 to me. Now there's I think almost 90 made in the UK. So what we found is what was a very big national demand when we won, obviously, the world's best cheese. It then became very much more regional because of the provenance of Cornwall and people coming down and visiting and the tourism aspect to our business. So we kind of decided to be able to keep growing as a company, we needed to extend the range, but probably not into a blue. But the difficulty is, kind of goes full circle, is that we can't produce another cheese in that dairy that isn't blue. So we kind of, just before COVID, took the plunge to invest in a kind of a brand new separate dairy alongside our blue dairy, which started building, and then COVID hit. So we managed to keep going throughout within the regulations, obviously. And then 2 summers ago, we completed the build. So I think it was July. We completed the structural build in August 2020. And then through all the kind of the complications and stuff, we managed to get in here. I think it was June last year, start trialing the white cheeses, and our first product, which is our Cornish brie, hit the market last October. It's quite a nice story that it's gone full circle, that we're going to replicate those first 5 cheeses that my dad made, and he's just had to sit on those recipes that for like 21 years before we could actually make them again. But it's quite nice to see it all come into fruition, really. The kind of what we have seen in the last 2 to 3 years, especially with COVID and trying to build this range, is we've been a purely like a one product business, basically, because the nanny is a very kind of small part of our business. We've been Cornish blue for 21 years. And so in lockdown, when we decided that we wanted to kind of build this range, we looked at, like you mentioned, the branding and the company, and thought that it was too focused on the Cornish blue. So that's why we've rebranded into the stripes to give it a bit more of a fresher feel. People can see it's Cornish, and still give that speciality artisan kind of factor to it. So we went through the whole rebranding process, and we've had some really good feedback. And off the back of it, we've got into places we might not have if we hadn't. And it gives us a really nice overarching kind of product range now, that we can add products in quite easily, and it's still recognizable that they're made by us, because that's quite important for us, to give a sign of quality and people know where it's made. Everything's still handmade and hand packaged in the dairies on our family farm, and we back onto the east side of Bodmin Moor. So we're exposed to the elements, to put it lightly, but no, it's all still done in house. We've got a great team here of about 8, 9 people, with obviously 2 dairies running, but it's kind of one team. Everyone is trained in the different roles with the 2 dairies, and that's where we're really up to. We obviously, we've got the 3 cheeses, but we've got probably 2, 3 more in the pipeline, hopefully coming out in the next 18, 24 months is the plan anyway.
Wonderful. It's a wonderful story. You must be very proud. And is your dad still involved? Is it day to day? Does he still?
Very much so. Very much so. He's he wouldn't like me saying, but he's at the age where he shouldn't be. He should put his feet up, but he's very keen to keep an eye on kind of especially the quality aspect.
Right.
He's very passionate about. But no, he's actually on holiday this week, but it's a bit of a rarity. But no, he isn't here still every day, keeping an eye on things.
Of course, and I'm sure I completely understand that. Yeah, you want just keep it close, see how you are, but you kind of like want him to take a break. You earned it after all this time, so he should.
Exactly. No, but no, it's working well at the moment. So it's I've only been involved really since COVID. I finished university and then was kind of forced to come back. Not forced, but it made sense to come back to Cornwall. We were faced as a company with a really hard time. That a lot, like I mentioned, a lot of our business is based around hospitality, deli counters, everything like that. And when that basically shut overnight in April 2020, our orders just stopped overnight. But because our blue takes 6 weeks to mature, we'd already made cheese 3 months in advance, not knowing it was going to happen. So I came back and we walked in. We've got a big kind of maturing fridge in Blue Dairy, and we think there was about 30,000 kilos sat there that was going to go off in about 8 weeks. So it was pretty scary. If you put kind of the sums into it of £10 a kilo, it's a lot of money for a business to lose. So we kind of got onto social media, and that's my background of the marketing and branding. And we just did the strategy of sell it at cost price, but make sure it doesn't go to waste. And we got an amazing response from different kind of news outlets and everything, and the general public really got behind it. And they bought straight off our website, our old website that crashed actually days. And from that, we've developed a new element of our business, which is an e-commerce business that we've never had in the past. So we managed to survive. Obviously, the business didn't really make money during COVID, but at least we're still here. And now we have an added element that we never had. So it's positives can come out of it, really. And since that point, I've kind of always been involved. And then I finished university and have now since moved back and kind of come full time into the business.
That's where your future is now, and it just sometimes it just falls into place, doesn't it, for various reasons. And it sounds like it has.
Yeah, and to be honest, it was never really the plan to begin with, but it's naturally, like you say, happened, and I'm enjoying it. There's a big challenge here to help kind of we like I say, the business is now set up structurally to be able to handle volume, whether it's kind of to retailers, to exporting around the world, etc. There's different opportunities there, so it's our job to kind of hopefully spread the message and tell everyone the products we have, and hopefully they enjoy them.
It's a lovely story. I'm so pleased for you. It's really heartwarming story, and I bet your dad is just proud, because it all starts from someone somewhere, and it's evolved. You're at a good place now. Looking at your website, which is really interesting, fresh, it's an exciting website. I'm intrigued by your cheese pate. What's the can you tell me a little bit about the pate?
So again, with our cheese, with the Cornish blue, it has a naturally creamy taste. And what we found, and other chefs have found, they love cooking with it because they can put a blue cheese in a dish, but because it's not a strong mold, it doesn't overpower the flavor of the dish. It adds a really nice element. And so we work closely with a pate maker that basically melts it down and infuses it with other flavors. So we have a Cornish blue and fig and a Cornish blue pear and walnut. Completely vegetarian, which goes down really well because you don't find many vegetarian pates. But we only really sell it direct at kind of events or on the website because it's stored frozen, so it's very hard to retail it. But it's a really, really good, something a bit different as well. Lovely on bread, toast, crackers. Even some people stuff chicken breast with it. And it's a nice little addition we do, really, just something different. Especially it goes down well at Christmas. We have a lot of kind of interest for the pâtés at Christmas, whether it's for starters or with cooking or a little bit of dessert on a cheese board.
It sounds amazing. I hadn't come across it before. It's different, and you've got the extra flavour, the flavours that go into it. So interesting. And as we've had a bit of a royal year, and recently this month, I see Princess Anne visited. what was that?
Yeah, no, it was.
Yeah, how exciting!
It was a bit late, to be honest. It was all to do with the expansion of the Blue Dairy. But we probably underestimated the admin and the amount of visits you have to have someone that prestigious come over. So it ended up being probably 18, maybe 2 years late. Yeah, probably 2 years later than it should have been. But no, it was fantastic. She came in, she walked through and with my dad, and he talked through the process of how we do things and kind of how it's developed. And it's quite interesting seeing the dairy, because you can still see now which parts are the original room, and then how it's kind of grown with that. And then she got to try some of the cheese while she was here, and then we had a good chat with her, and she's very, very interested in that kind of agriculture and the farming part as well. And we've got solar panels that help with the electricity here, so she was asking all about the sustainability side as well. But no, it was amazing kind of day to have her down and show her around, give her. I think she might have overran, and which we got in trouble for. Well, not major trouble, but she was here half an hour longer than she should have been. But no, it was great. It's great to have her down on the farm.
What a wonderful day. That's amazing. You should be very proud. I could see all the pictures on there, and I mean, let's face it, you don't get a royal visit every day, so good stuff. Definitely. So can we finish? So buying the cheeses, where people can get their hands and get the cheeses, obviously online. They can buy online. I know you put together like cheese boards and gift packages and things like that. Do you attend farmers markets locally and things? How else do you or are you just online?
No. So we have our online shop. We do about 20 different shows and events kind of around the country a year. That's kind of, we list them on the website. So if anyone's interested, if we're coming to their local, whether it's an agricultural show or a food event, that's all down there as well. We do a few Christmas markets. And then the day-to-day, we're probably quite regional in terms of where we sell. But we will be in various kind of independent delis, farm shops, even normal shops, and then we're in at the moment Tesco Co-op, and we've just been confirmed that we're going into Waitrose as well, which is great news leading up to Christmas. And that's probably where it's more readily available in terms of outside the southwest. That if anyone's listening and wants to go and check it out, then what I would say, we've got a store locator on our website as well. So just you can pop in your postcode and it should pop up wherever the closest store is to you.
Wonderful. Well, it's been absolutely lovely chatting with you. I will keep an eye on the website, and any new events. Obviously, there's a lot happening, and a lot's happened over the last 2 years. So the website is just informative. We will have a look. Maybe I can get my hands on some locally here. If I put my address in, I might be able to find some. I'm sure I can. You're going into all these shops, so I'm so pleased for you. It's lovely to meet you and catch up. I'll certainly keep an eye on things, and thank you for taking the time today. I know you're busy, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Right.
Cheers. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome.